Now, right on the heels of creating the document and document section views, we also have the document list view, which makes it easier to fetch a list of documents from the CMS and render it as a grid or a list. So previously we had this wondrous home, which you can see on the right hand side over here, and it's actually using the latest document list view. But if you go back to the previous way of doing things, you would have created a group of this kind, either by creating a grid view or a page view, and then put your items over there. Now that is still applicable. In fact, if you go into this group, you'll see that we have manually configured all of the cards that point to the different wonders which are there in our CMS. And that's one way to manage it, because if you want to selectively keep only certain things and add them as needed, then that's still a valid way of doing it. But sometimes you want to just show all the documents that's out there in the CMS, and for that you have a document list. Now what a document list view allows you to do is you specify a query, which you can do through a query configuration, and you use that query to customize the kind of documents you should be pulling out, applying certain kinds of filters, ordering them, and doing all kinds of operations to make sure you have a list of documents to show on the screen. So the query actually is useful for customizing the selectiveness of your documents. And then you have a list item configuration that tells you how to render individual items from this list. And of course you still have the layout, which controls the overall container inside which all these list items are rendered. So what we have over here is a custom query configuration that shows you all the wonders. And then you have a list item configuration that renders individual list items as the cards for now. But this can be changed, so you can put in any of your list item configurations and render it the way you want. And then you have a layout from where you can customize the container that shows all these items. So right now I've set it to grid, but of course you can change it to list, and if you refresh, it'll render it as a nice list. And this is still a valid way of doing things, and it kind of keeps things really simple. But what you get is the advantage of not having to keep things manually configured in order to show all the documents. Right? So as in when you add new documents to your list, it'll automatically show up over here. Now this is useful when, let's say, I'm publishing a new wonder. I don't have to actually manually do anything special to make that wonder available to all my customers. I can just go in over here, use this particular document list view, and then make it render as a list or a grid. And of course this layout can also be changed. But the point here is that if you want to render or do automatic rendering of all the documents that match certain criteria, then the document list view is perfectly suited for that. So in this case, it shows 2 columns. Let me see if I can do 3 columns and refresh. And now it shows you all these wonders as 3 columns. But I think the 2-column one was actually better. This is looking really tiny. Let's go back to 2 columns, and I think the 1 by 1 still works. And maybe I can make it a 3:4. Right, so a slightly taller card, which also looks nice over here. So that's it. That's your document list view, and that's a new way of rendering documents directly from a CMS without much hassle.